Namaste. That is the traditional greeting from India, and I'd like to begin with that. My name is Gowri, and I'm a journalist from India. I also write plays and direct them. And I'm absolutely delighted to be able to interact with you. We are holding this camp at a very difficult time. Your parents and grandparents may have known about the Spanish flu, which completely ravaged the world in 1980. But no one could have ever imagined anything like the coronavirus, the kind of havoc it has created in the world, the way it has turned our lives upside down. As if that were not enough, you are now witnessing a historic event, a nationwide protest for the public outcry against the brutal killing of George Floyd that we are now watching unfold on television. Thousands on the streets across the United States chanting, "I can't breathe," brandishing slogans, "Silence is violence," "Black Lives Matter," "Justice for all." We cannot ignore this background of this pandemic and this protest. They have a meaning beyond our own times, and they have a global significance for the ages to come. So the question that we ask ourselves, how do we prepare our young people to face these two global crises, which are not going to go away anytime soon? People have many different definitions of courage: a virtue without which you cannot practice any virtue, confidence to overcome fear, strength to make a hard choice, striving against disaster. Ernest Hemingway, the famous American novelist, described courage as the grace under pressure. And one of your great presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, summed up, "Do what you can with what you have, where you are." That's courage. But we go to India now to look at the way Indians classified courage into four different kinds of valor. The first is Rana, the brave warrior on the battlefield. He has physical courage. The second is the Daana. Daana means charity. So the person who has the courage to be charitable. Why is a person who is generous described as courageous? Because selfishness is cowardice, and people who care to support others, who are concerned about others, are seen as brave indeed. Remember, it's not only money that a Danavira shares, a teacher who generously shares her knowledge with you, someone who gives shelter to the needy in his house. These people are Danaviras as well. Dharma Vira, that's the third category. This is a person who dares to be valiant, dares to be righteous. So you are a Dharma Vira if you are determined to stay upright, do your duty, never compromise on your integrity. And if you are able to face any problem, even humiliation, you risk your personal life to maintain your commitment to truth. The last category is that of the Dayaa Vira. Dayaa means compassion. To practice compassion, you must have genuine humility. You should be able to have that fellow feeling for every living creature on planet Earth. You must see others in terms of perfect equality. Understand and sympathize with their problems. Forgive their shortcomings and follies. In other words, a Daya Vira is someone who is full of forgiveness, mercy, pity, and grace. In our summer school sessions, we will discuss these four aspects of courage as defined in India and learn about four mythic heroes who represent these four types of courage. In one of the great and most spectacular epics the world has ever known, called the Mahabharata, it is an epic of India. And then we will try to identify those qualities that we found in those heroes and in these stories written so long ago, in the people that we know today living around us, or who just lived a few years or a few decades ago. For example, wouldn't you see the astronaut Neil Armstrong, who risked his life to land on the moon, as the perfect example of the Rana Vira, the man with physical courage? But such people need not always be famous or powerful. What about Chicago's firefighters? We can't think of anyone who's more incredibly brave and risked their lives to save others, right? Then we come to the second category, the Daana Vira, the person who's charitable. Don't we see a Daana Vira in people like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett? But you don't have to be a billionaire to be a Daana Vira. What about all those people right here, students as well as senior citizens, making masks, parceling food, delivering supplies, medicines, giving their time to help the helpless in this terrible time of the coronavirus? Surely they're all Dana Viras too. Dharma Vira, the person who dares to be upright. I can think of two brilliant examples of people whom all of you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Dr. Anthony Fauci. Nothing can make them compromise their integrity. Nothing can make them swerve from truth. All those nameless people today who stand up for justice and equality, agitate for human rights and animal rights, who care for the well-being of the people who are less fortunate than themselves, oppose any laws that cut our freedom, who brave dangers as they march in protest for various causes they believe in. They are our shining examples of Dharma Viras, men and women who never swerve from righteousness. Dayaa Vira, that's the final category. And that's really tough. Because if you are a Dayaa Vira, you have to be someone who can forget yourself, live only for others, care for the entire world. We can think of three people whom we have known. One is Dr. Martin Luther King in your own country, Nelson Mandela in South Africa, and Mahatma Gandhi in India. Those who have been victims of injustice, humiliation, suffering, loss, and who are able to forgive those who have hurt them, they are also Dayaa Viras, or people with compassion, people who have the courage to be compassionate. Mind you, it doesn't mean that if you forgive a murderer, you will help him to commit more murders. You fight the system, you don't fight the man. Finally, for those of you who ask me, why Mahabharata? I answer, this epic has been loved for over 2,000 years. Their characters have inspired countless generations of men and women and children. Those characters prove how a human being can become extraordinary by learning to practice courage. I hope we can explore courage and see if it's really the mantra, the power of survival. Thank you.